Hi guys, I've picked up a few things. These are all things I've not really had to pay for directly. I've got a friend that lives locally that's a big music fan, and he's, I think partly my fault, he's been getting back into buying vinyl again. I mean, he's got a lot of records anyway, huge pile of CDs. And we don't really have a huge crossover in terms of taste of music. There are a few things obviously that we like, but generally we're pretty different. So if I ever find things when I'm raking around and in the charity shops, I quite often just give them to him. So, you know, in the past I've given him, like, you know, Dire Straits albums, and he's really into Americana, I think, is his big thing. So he's a huge Springsteen fan. Anyway, to cut a long story short, in the past I've given him a whole stack of stuff, and he's eventually got round to inviting me around because he had boxes of stuff that he was trying to get rid of. So I went and had a rake through, and got kind of maybe 5 or 10 albums off him, plus a whole load of singles, but I've not actually got the singles yet because he wanted to record a few of them before he gave them to me. So I wasn't really going there expecting to find that much, but he had records that he was getting rid of on behalf of somebody else as well. The first thing that I found when I was flicking through the box was this, which is a Vanilla Fudge album called Mystery. I was excited to find this until I listened to it, and it's terrible. I really love the first 3 Vanilla Fudge albums. I've heard them. I've not heard like the live one, and I can't remember what the other one's called. But this is basically an album that came out in the early to mid 80s, and it's really more like kind of Bon Jovi or some kind of hairy metal band, and I was really disappointed with it. So yeah, but like I said, it didn't really cost me anything, so it doesn't matter. Then I picked up Tommy Parts 1 and 2. These are both originals on track. Picked them up more of a curiosity than anything else. I'm not a huge fan of Tommy. I like the Who's earlier stuff, but once they got into this kind of rock opera, I wasn't quite interested. But I'd never seen these before, and I thought they'd be quite cool to have. Then I was surprised when I found King Crimson's Red. This is an original pink rim. Great album, really good. I can't remember whether it was, I think it's Red had kind of hints of In the Court of the Crimson King. It's maybe not quite as bold a statement, but it's still really good. Another one that was in there as well was King Crimson, Starless and Bible Black. Again, this is the original on the pink rim label. So yeah, I'm delighted to find those. The only other King Crimson I've got is The Wake of Poseidon. so I was really pleased to have them. Then Lindisfarne, Fog on the Tyne. He actually had 3 copies of this, one which was a bit knackered, one which he wanted to keep for himself, and this one. And again, this is an original on the nice pink Charisma label, classic label. But this is a pretty good kind of folky rock album. Probably most famous because it's got Fog on the Tyne on it, but it's by no means the best song on the album. So I'm really pleased to have that. Now, one which I really didn't know what to think of is this, but as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to have it. It confused me for a number of reasons. One, it was somebody I'd never heard of, Dr. Marigold's Prescription. And I mean, that's not saying that I know everything there is about music, but Marble Arch is basically, it's kind of Pi. The Pi label is their kind of budget label. So you, quite often, if you see anything on Marble Arch, it will be maybe compilations of Kinks and Donovan. You quite often get kind of jazz and blues artists, you know, compilations of their stuff like Johnny Lee Hooker and Acker Bilk and things like that. So generally, if you see something on Marble Arch, it's something that you've heard of, and it's a budget compilation. So when I saw this album, Pictures of Life by Dr. Marigold's Prescription, I was kind of confused, because normally if you see Marble Arch, it's something that you've heard of. And I had never heard of this. And the cover itself, even if, you know, they weren't called Dr. Marigold's Prescription, the cover itself was interesting enough to want to get it. And actually, it's really, really good. It's basically, the best way to describe it is probably, it's kind of sunshine pop. It's not really as psychedelic as the cover maybe alludes to, but I think you could probably take any of the tracks off this and put them onto, say, the Forrest Gump soundtrack, and it would have blended in perfectly. It's that kind of era. Land of Fuson is a great track, and yeah, that would fit perfectly on that Forrest Gump soundtrack. But this is really, really, really good, and I suggest anyone that likes that kind of slightly psychedelic sunshine pop to check this out. The singer's is kind of a bit like, he sounds a bit like Cat Stevens. So if you imagine Cat Stevens singing for maybe the Mamas and the Papas, something like that, you probably wouldn't be too far away from what this sounds like. So I'm really pleased to have this. So I picked that out, and then at the kind of back of the room there was another box, and he said, "Oh, that's all just junk in there." And I said, "Oh, I'll have a flick through it anyway." So I had a flick through it, and he was right. I would say it was nearly all junk, apart from one album that I pulled out, which is this one. I'd seen this, I know Derek had done a series, and I'd contacted Derek about this actually just the other day, of this BYG or Big Actuel series. And surprisingly, actually, when I watched his video, he said this was one of the ones that he didn't have. This is a fantastic, oh, he has subsequently actually contacted me to say he's got it since, so he does have this now. And I wouldn't have sent it to him anyway because it's fantastic. They're kind of I don't know, three-piece, along the lines of I would say maybe Cream, maybe not Cream, but anyway, very good. This is a great album. There's covers on here by covers of Howlin' Wolf. There's a great version of Cry Baby Cry by Lennon and McCartney, and Time of the Seasons as well, the Zombie song. But yeah, this is just a great album, and you just chuck this one in for nothing. So yeah, I'm delighted to have this. Wasn't a band I'd ever heard of, but simply just from the cover and the fact that I'd seen this actual label appearing quite a few times in the VC, I knew it was going to be something good, and I wasn't disappointed. I have a feeling band-wise they might have been something to do with the Moody Blues, but I don't know whether I'm just making that up, because I did kind of research it a bit on the internet. But yeah, this is fantastic. This one and I would say this are probably the two best ones I got in the batch. King Crimson ones are great as well. But yeah, that's my most recent final haul. But like I said, that was all stuff I kind of swapped. I'd given stacks of stuff in the past, so it's probably worked out pretty even. Yeah, thanks for watching. Always, like I said, please comment and let me know you've been past to watch. The other thing is thanks as well to Mark, DoctorDeadwax. I won his competition. I actually felt really guilty to begin with, because I only entered his competition for a laugh, deliberately because I was showing exactly the kind of thing that he didn't want to see. So it was nice to wind him up a little bit with that. But then when I won, I did feel a little bit guilt-ridden. But he's a great guy, and he sent me my prize, and I've ordered something. It's not arrived yet, but when it does, I will be sure to make a video thanking you once again. So yeah, take care. It's a pretty horrible day here, fog and rain, which for the middle of June isn't really great, but it's been nice the rest of the time. So yeah, thanks once again, and take care of yourselves.